When everything seems to be falling apart and the pieces of your life no longer fit, it's natural to feel hopeless. But in those dark moments, when the world appears to have abandoned you, lies a unique opportunity to discover the transformative power within you. Carl Jung dedicated his life to exploring the depths of the human mind, leaving us with a clear message. Chaos is not the end. It is the beginning of something extraordinary. We often face situations that seem to break us completely, relationships that crumble, dreams that don't come true, challenges that overwhelm us. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing we are victims of external circumstances, that there is no way out. But Jung taught us that within that pain lies a profound calling, a call to love ourselves, to closely examine the parts of us we prefer to ignore, and to find purpose behind suffering. Pain and confusion are not punishments. They are gateways to radical transformation. It is as if life, in its infinite wisdom, pushes us into a corner so that we stop running from our truth. In those moments, the key is not to seek external solutions, but to turn inward. Jung said, "What we do not confront in our minds, we will encounter as fate." This means that if we continue to ignore our shadows, they will manifest in our reality, forcing us to face them one way or another. Think about those times when the same type of problem keeps repeating in your life. Toxic relationships, unfulfilling jobs, friendships that drain your energy. This is not a coincidence. These are reflections of unresolved aspects within you. Jung called this a projection of the unconscious, what we fail to recognize in ourselves. We see reflected in the external world. But here's the great news. Once we become aware of it, we can begin to change our reality. True power lies in daring to look within. This is not an easy path. It takes courage to face our wounds, our insecurities, and those parts of ourselves we have repressed because we believe they are unworthy of being seen. Yet, it is precisely within those shadows that our greatest power resides. Jung put it beautifully. Light cannot exist without shadow, meaning that to discover our true essence, we must embrace both our light and our darkness. Imagine for a moment that your life is a canvas. Every experience, every emotion, every relationship is a brushstroke. But too often we paint with fear, following patterns that do not belong to us, creating a masterpiece that does not reflect our truth. What would happen if you let go of those fears? If you stopped worrying about fitting in and started creating from a place of authenticity? This is a challenge Jung presents to us. To stop being a mere copy of what the world expects from us, and instead become the masterpiece we are destined to be. Jung believed that to transform our lives, we must first confront what he called the shadow. This shadow is nothing more than everything we deny, repress, or fear within ourselves. Those parts we prefer to hide, that make us uncomfortable, and that we have learned to push into the unconscious because they do not fit the image we want to project to the world. But ignoring the shadow does not make it disappear. On the contrary, it gives it even more power over our lives. It manifests in behavioral patterns, in decisions we don't understand, and in relationships that seem to repeat the same conflicts. It is as if we carry an invisible backpack filled with everything we reject about ourselves, and each time we avoid facing that burden, the backpack becomes heavier. The result? We feel trapped, exhausted, and without direction. Here lies the secret that Jung revealed to us. Integrating the shadow is not a punishment. It is a liberating act. By recognizing and accepting these aspects of ourselves, we stop fighting against what we are and begin to walk in harmony with our truth. However, this process does not happen automatically. It requires willpower and courage to face what we have been avoiding. Ask yourself, what parts of yourself are you repressing? What aspects of your personality, your desires, or even your fears have you not allowed yourself to explore? Jung believed that by integrating these shadows, we discover an inexhaustible source of power and creativity. It is as if by illuminating what was hidden, anger, fear, sadness, these emotions become signals from the unconscious, alerting us to something that needs attention. Instead of repressing them, we can explore them with curiosity and openness. What are they trying to tell you? What wounds or unmet needs are they revealing? It is also important to observe our projections. Have you noticed how certain people seem to trigger disproportionate reactions in you? Maybe someone irritates you deeply for no apparent reason, or you feel extreme admiration for someone you just met. These reactions are not random. They are mirrors of parts of your own psyche. Jung said that what we see in others, both what we love and what we detest, is a reflection of what we carry within. When we start working with our shadow, something magical happens. Relationships begin to transform because we no longer use them to project our wounds or deficiencies. Instead of seeking others to fill our voids, we approach them from a place of wholeness. This shift not only improves our connections with others, but also allows us to live with more authenticity and freedom. Jung also taught that in a moment of crisis, when everything seems broken, lies the greatest opportunity for growth. Crisis is not the end. It is an invitation to evolve. It is like the alchemical process that fascinated Jung so much. The lead of our wounds and shadows can be transformed into the gold of our wholeness. But this transformation requires patience, introspection, and a genuine commitment to personal growth. Imagine walking through a dark forest filled with uncertainty and fear. It is tempting to turn back and return to the safety of the known. But if you have the courage to move forward, you will eventually find a clearing, a place of light and serenity. This is a journey toward your authenticity. The initial darkness is only a phase, a necessary step to reach clarity and inner peace. Along the way, learning to let go is essential. Often, we cling to people, situations, or beliefs that no longer serve us simply because we fear the unknown. But Jung reminds us that the emptiness left by letting go is not something to fear. It is a sacred space where the new can flourish. By releasing what no longer aligns with our essence, we make room for relationships, opportunities, and experiences that truly resonate with who we are. As we delve deeper into Jung's teachings, we realize that letting go of what no longer resonates with us is not an act of weakness, but of courage. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to stay busy, to hold on to things, people, and beliefs, even when they exhaust us. But by clinging, what we are really doing is distancing ourselves from our essence. Letting go, on the other hand, is an act of trust in life, in our potential, and in the process of transformation. Jung understood that for something new to be born, something old must die. This does not mean abandoning everything we know abruptly, but rather being willing to let go of what no longer adds value. This process can be painful, but it is also profoundly liberating. Every time we release something that does not belong to us, we reclaim a part of ourselves, reconnect with our authenticity, and open the door to new possibilities. The challenge, however, lies in overcoming the fear of change. Jung said that change is not easy because our psyche is designed to seek security and stability. But personal growth rarely occurs in comfort zones. It is in uncertainty, in the unknown, where we find our greatest opportunities for development. Imagine a plant that must break through the hard surface of the earth to reach the sunlight. That is our growth process, a constant effort to break internal barriers and reveal our true selves. A central element of Jung's ideas is the concept of individuation, which is a process of becoming who you truly are. Individuation is not merely about achieving external goals or meeting societal expectations. It is a journey toward self-knowledge, toward integrating all parts of our psyche, including those we have rejected. It is a process that leads us to discover our uniqueness, recognize our strengths, and accept our weaknesses. On this journey, our connection with the unconscious plays a crucial role. The unconscious is not just a place where our fears and repressed desires hide. It is also a source of infinite wisdom. It speaks to us through dreams, symbols, and emotions. Jung believed that dreams are a window to the soul. Each dream contains important messages about our inner state and unmet needs. Paying attention to them and reflecting on their meaning can help us find answers and guidance in moments of confusion. For example, if you dream of being lost in a labyrinth, it could be a sign that you feel trapped in a situation in your life, unable to find a way out. Or if you dream of moving water, it might symbolize emotions that you need to process or release. Jung encouraged exploring these symbols and working with them to discover what they are trying to communicate to us. Dreams are like letters written by our soul, waiting for us to read them with attention and care. Beyond dreams, synchronicities play an important role in the path to authenticity. Synchronicities are seemingly random but deeply meaningful events that Jung described as significant coincidences. These occur when the external world appears to align with our inner world, as if the universe were conspiring to guide us toward our purpose. It could be meeting someone who has exactly the advice you need, or discovering a book that seems to answer your deepest questions. These signs should not be ignored. They are indicators that you are on the right path. But to experience these synchronicities, we must be open and receptive. We must trust our intuition and pay attention to the subtle signals around us. Jung believed that intuition is a powerful tool we all possess, but often neglect in favor of logic and reason. However, in moments of uncertainty, our intuition can be our best guide. It is that quiet voice that tells us which path to take, even when it seems illogical or risky. When we begin to live from this place of connection with our inner selves, something remarkable happens. Our relationships, decisions, and experiences start aligning with our truth. The right people enter our lives. The opportunities that truly resonate with us present themselves, and our energy is renewed. It is as if, by tuning into our essence, the outer world responds in harmony. However, this path is not without challenges. There will be moments of doubt, times when you'll feel tempted to return to old patterns or settle for familiar. But remember, every step you take toward your authenticity is an act of self-love. It is a reminder that you deserve a fulfilling life, a life that reflects who you truly are. This process of transformation is like the journey of a hero in an epic story. At first, it may seem overwhelming, filled with uncertainty and fear. But as you move forward, you discover a strength within yourself that you never knew you had. Along the way, you find allies, people and experiences that support your growth. And in the end, you return to yourself stronger, wiser, and more connected to your essence. Jung taught us that life is not about eliminating chaos, but about finding order within it. It serves as a reminder that even in the darkest moments, we carry within us a light that never fades. That light is our essence, our truth, our connection to something greater than ourselves. At the core of Carl Jung's philosophy lies a profoundly transformative idea, the integration of dualities within us. This integration, known as the process of individuation, is not an immediate destination, but an ongoing journey of self-discovery and acceptance. Here lies one of Jung's greatest lessons. We are not simple beings, but complex and multifaceted, and our wholeness depends on our ability to embrace that complexity. The individuation process involves reconciling seemingly opposing aspects of our psyche, shadow and light, reason and emotion, the conscious and the unconscious. Jung believed that inner peace is not achieved by eliminating conflict, but by embracing it and learning to navigate through it. Facing our internal contradictions may seem overwhelming, but it is essential to unlocking the full potential of our humanity. In everyday life, this means accepting emotions we usually reject. Perhaps you feel anger, jealousy, or sadness, emotions often perceived as negative. But these are not enemies, they are teachers. Each emotion carries a message, and by acknowledging them instead of repressing them, we gain insight into what our soul needs to heal and grow. Jung also spoke of the self as the core of our psyche, the center where all our parts unify. Achieving a deeper connection with the self requires courage and complete openness to explore our inner world. It is like diving into the depths of an unknown ocean, confronting what we have ignored or feared, but also discovering treasures we never knew existed. One of the greatest challenges in this process is facing projections we cast onto others. Often, the qualities we admire or despise in others reflect aspects of ourselves. For instance, if someone's arrogance constantly irritates you, Jung would suggest looking inward. Perhaps there is a suppressed arrogance within you, or a hidden fear of being perceived that way. By recognizing our projections, we not only heal our relationships, but also progress on our path toward individuation. This journey is not a solitary one. While introspection is essential, we also need the support and connection of others to evolve. Authentic relationships, those where we can be ourselves without fear of judgment, are fundamental to our growth. Jung believed that every human encounter is an opportunity to learn something new about ourselves. The people who enter our lives, whether for a brief moment or for years, serve as mirrors reflecting aspects of our psyche. On this path to authenticity, we must also remember the power of myths and archetypes. Jung discovered that the human psyche is deeply influenced by universal stories that repeat across cultures and eras. These archetypes, such as the hero, the mentor, the wise one, or the shadow, are present not only in mythology, but also in our own lives. Recognizing these patterns in our experiences helps us better understand our role in the broader narrative of existence. For example, if you feel trapped in a cycle of suffering, you might be experiencing the hero's journey, an archetype where the protagonist faces seemingly insurmountable challenges only to emerge stronger and transformed. Recognizing this pattern can give you the strength to continue, knowing that even in the darkest moments, you are moving toward a more authentic version of yourself. The connection with archetypes also helps us find meaning in our struggles. Jung believed that meaning is essential to human life. Without it, we feel lost and disconnected. But when we find purpose in our experiences, even the most difficult ones, we can transform pain into growth and uncertainty into opportunity. That is why, whenever you face a loss, a failure, or a moment of doubt, remember that these are not insurmountable obstacles, but necessary parts of your journey toward individuation. They are challenges designed to help you discover the depth and richness of your inner being. And while this path may sometimes feel lonely, it is not. Every step you take toward authenticity not only transforms you, but also inspires and elevates those around you. As we delve deeper into Jung's teachings, we realize that the journey to authenticity is not just personal, but also collective. Humanity as a whole faces challenges that reflect the inner conflicts of each individual. Jung believed that the collective unconscious, this shared reservoir of archetypes and human experiences, shapes our lives in ways we often do not recognize. By working on our own individuation, we do not only heal our inner selves, but also contribute to the healing of society. This is especially relevant in times of crisis when it seems that the entire world is on the brink of collapse. Collective crises, like personal ones, are opportunities for rebirth. Jung maintained that in moments of greatest disorder, the potential for meaningful change is at its highest. This applies both to our individual lives and to global dynamics. If everything feels broken, it is because something new is trying to emerge. In our personal lives, this rebirth can manifest as a spiritual awakening, a change in direction, or a newfound understanding of ourselves. But for this to happen, we must be willing to face what Jung called the process of nigredo. This concept, borrowed from alchemy, describes the initial stage of decomposition and chaos that precedes the creation of something new. In psychological terms, it is a moment when we confront our shadows, wounds, and limiting beliefs. Imagine being in a room filled with clutter. Some objects hold significant value, while others are merely accumulated waste. To find what is truly valuable, you must first clear the chaos. This process may be uncomfortable, but it is essential. The same happens in our psyche. We need to confront and release what no longer serves us to uncover what truly matters. As we progress through this process, we begin to experience a phenomenon Jung described as symbols of transformation. These symbols appear in dreams, thoughts, and even daily experiences, acting as guides on our journey. They may take the form of recurring images, words that deeply resonate, or events that seem to carry a special meaning. Paying attention to these symbols and reflecting on their significance helps us move forward with greater clarity and purpose. The integration of symbols and unconscious experiences into our conscious lives is one of the cornerstones of Jung's work. It is a reminder that we are not alone on our journey. There are greater forces both within and outside of us that guide us toward our destiny. But to connect with these forces, we need to create space in our lives. Space for reflection, creativity, and silence. In a world full of noise and distractions, this may seem like a luxury, but it is a necessity. When we begin to live from this deep connection with our inner being, we experience a radical shift in how we see the world. What once seemed like an insurmountable obstacle turns into a valuable lesson. Relationships that used to drain our energy either transform or disappear, making room for more authentic connections. Decisions that once seemed impossible become clear and aligned with our truth. This change does not happen overnight. It is a gradual process filled with ups and downs. But every step we take toward our authenticity brings us closer to a life of fulfillment. Jung reminds us that the purpose of life is not to achieve a constant state of happiness, but to find meaning even in the most difficult moments. This meaning gives us the strength to keep going, even when everything seems broken. In the end, Jung's message is clear. Chaos is not the enemy. It is a fertile ground where our roots can deepen and our spirit can bloom. When we embrace our shadow, integrate our experiences, and follow the signs from our unconscious, we discover that we already have everything we need to rebuild ourselves. And in that process, we not only heal our own lives, but also become a beacon of hope and transformation for others. The culmination of the individuation process, according to Carl Jung, is not merely a state of personal fulfillment, but a deeper connection with the totality of life. This journey does not end when we face our shadows or integrate our dualities. Instead, it leads us to a broader understanding of our existence, one in which we recognize our interconnectedness with everything around us. One of Jung's most profound concepts is the idea that within each of us lies a sacred center, a divine spark that connects us to something greater than ourselves. This center, often referred to as the self, is the essence of who we truly are beyond our social masks, beyond our wounds, beyond our fears. It is the part of us that remains unshaken even in the midst of chaos. However, accessing this center requires more than just introspection. It demands that we face our fear of the unknown, release the narratives that limit us, and trust the process of transformation. In Jung's words, what you resist persists. What you accept transforms you. This transformation is not always comfortable, but it is liberating. By allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and authentic, we align with our deepest truth and open ourselves to the infinite possibilities that life has to offer. This journey toward the self also invites us to reconsider our relationship with time and purpose. Too often, we live trapped in the past, reliving old wounds, or in the future, worrying about what is yet to happen. Jung urges us to return to the present moment, to understand that our power resides in the now. Every decision we make, every thought, and every action has the potential to shape our future. This perspective restores our agency over our lives, reminding us that we are the architects of our own existence. Another fundamental aspect of Jung's work is the idea of connection with the natural world and the cycles of life. Many ancient cultures believed that nature was a reflection of the human soul, and Jung shared this vision. The changing seasons, the cycles of growth and decay, mirror our own internal processes. By observing nature, we can find wisdom and comfort, remembering that everything in life is transient. Just as winter gives way to spring, our moments of darkness will eventually lead us toward the light. It is important to emphasize that this path toward authenticity does not mean abandoning our responsibilities or relationships. Jung teaches us that fulfillment in life can only be found from a place of integrity. This means being honest with ourselves and others, setting healthy boundaries, and living in alignment with our values. In the context of relationships, authenticity can be challenging. We often fear that by showing our true selves, we might lose those we love. But Jung reminds us that truly meaningful relationships are not built on pretense, but on mutual acceptance. By being ourselves, we not only allow for genuine connections, but also inspire those around us to do the same. And so, we arrive at the central message of this journey. If everything feels broken, it is because you are in the middle of a renewal process. The pieces that seem to be falling apart are not the end, but the beginning of something greater. By facing your shadows, listening to your intuition, and following your truth, you are rebuilding your life from a place of strength and authenticity. Synchronicity, as Jung described it, becomes a constant guide in this process. When you are aligned with yourself, signs appear along your path, confirming that you are moving in the right direction. The right people arrive, opportunities present themselves, and most importantly, you find an inner peace that does not depend on external circumstances. So if you find yourself at that point where everything seems to be falling apart, remember, this is the ground where the seeds of your transformation are being planted. Allow yourself to feel, reflect, and let go. Trust that as you embark on this journey, you will discover a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more in tune with life. As you reach the end of this introspective path, remember something essential. You are here for a reason. This message has found you because there is something within you that needs to be acknowledged, something calling for your attention and care. Carl Jung taught us that true transformation does not happen overnight, but is a result of a continuous commitment to our growth and authenticity. Within you lies the power to take control of your life, to integrate your shadows, to release what no longer serves you, and to embrace your deepest truth. Throughout this process, you may face doubts, fears, and resistance. It's natural. But every step you take toward your authenticity is a victory, an act of self-love that not only impacts you, but also inspires those around you. Your courage to be yourself encourages others to do the same. When you choose to live from your core, from your true essence, you contribute to a world that is more genuine and connected. That's why I want to invite you to take this message beyond yourself. If this content resonated with you, if you feel it could touch the hearts of others as it touched yours, share it. Share this video with someone who might be going through a difficult time, someone who needs to be reminded that even in chaos, there is hope and opportunity. Your action could be the guiding light someone needs to find their own path. I also want to hear from you. Leave a comment below. Tell me which part of this message touched you the most or how you plan to apply these ideas in your life. Your voice not only enriches this community, but also helps spread this message to more people who need it. Together, we can create a space where knowledge, reflection, and mutual support become a force for change. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. By doing so, you'll become part of a community dedicated to personal growth, authenticity, and inner awakening. Every interaction, every like, every comment, is a step toward taking these teachings further, touching lives, and creating meaningful connections. Remember, change begins with you. Today, you have the opportunity to be an agent of transformation in your life and in the lives of others. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for being part of this family. Together, we can make a difference. See you in the next video, where we'll continue exploring the transformative power that lies within each of us. Until next time,